27 years ago, Melissa Witt was abducted.
A body has been found in Franklin County.
This was not a young girl who just took off and ran away.
Melissa Witt was a 19-year-old college student from Fort Smith, Arkansas. On December 1st, 1994, she disappeared from the parking lot of Bowling World, a popular bowling alley in town. Her car was found with her purse inside, but there were no signs of Melissa. A small trail of blood near her car was the only clue left behind. 6 weeks later, on January 13th, 1995, Melissa's body was discovered in the Ozark National Forest, 50 miles away from where she went missing. She had been strangled and her clothes were missing. What happened to Melissa Witt? Part 1. Melissa's life. Melissa Missy Ann Witt was born on April 12, 1975 in Fort Smith, Arkansas, to Mary Ann Witt, a legal secretary, and Michael Witt, a mechanic. Her parents divorced in 1980 when she was 5 years old, and she lived primarily with her mother while maintaining regular visits with her father on weekends and holidays. Melissa attended Sunnymead Elementary School, where she was known for her friendly and curious nature, and participated in choir and the art club. She went on to Kimmons Junior High School, where she developed an interest in human biology and joined the school's volleyball team. At Northside High School, Melissa was elected junior class representative and took part in the student council. After graduating high school in 1993, she enrolled at West Arks Community College to study dental hygiene while working part-time as a dental assistant at Dr. Robert Mitchell's dental clinic, where she was respected for her professionalism and work ethic. Melissa also volunteered at the Fort Smith Children's Emergency Shelter and participated in local charity events. She was described as having a close group of friends, and during her senior year of high school, was in a relationship with Jason Thompson. Nearing the completion of her studies, Melissa had plans to pursue further certifications in dental hygiene. Part 2. The day of the disappearance. On the morning of December 1st, 1994, Melissa started her day getting ready alongside her mother, Mary Ann Witt. While preparing for their day, the two had an argument about money. Melissa asked her mom to pay for her car's oil change, to which Mary Ann responded, "You have a job. You have to spend your money for that." After this exchange, both went about their plans for the day. Melissa attended 2 classes at West Ark Community College and then met a friend for lunch at a Chick-fil-A. After eating, the friend dropped her off at her workplace, where she began her shift as a dental assistant. After work, Melissa encountered car trouble. Her vehicle wouldn't start. She returned to the office visibly upset, where a coworker attempted to assist her. Eventually, a man from a neighboring company helped her jumpstart the car. He warned her, though, "Do not stop until you get home. Your car might not start again otherwise." Following his advice, Melissa drove straight home to the house she shared with her mother. When she arrived home, Melissa found a note left by her mom that read, "Hey, come to meet me at the bowling alley. It's church league night. I'll buy you a burger." Melissa changed out of her work clothes into something more comfortable and left her house at approximately 6:30 p.m. She drove her white Mitsubishi Mirage to Bowling World, a short distance from her home. At around 7 p.m., witnesses reported seeing a young woman matching Melissa's description walking across the parking lot toward the entrance of Bowling World. However, Melissa never made it inside the building. This was the last time anyone reported seeing her alive. Inside Bowling World, Mary Ann was busy with her church league bowling game, unaware that her daughter had planned to visit. As the evening progressed and Melissa did not appear, Mary Ann grew concerned. She attempted to call her daughter but received no response. Assuming Melissa had decided to spend time with friends instead, Mary Ann left the bowling alley later that night, not realizing that her daughter's car was parked in the lot. In the days following Melissa's disappearance, Mary Ann and Melissa's friends reported her missing to the police and began printing and distributing missing person flyers throughout Fort Smith. Part 3. The initial investigation. December 1st, 1994. Initial disappearance. Melissa Witt disappeared from the Bowling World parking lot in Fort Smith, Arkansas. Witnesses later reported seeing a man and a woman arguing in the parking lot around the time Melissa arrived. The car described by witnesses matched Melissa's Honda Civic, but there was no clear description of the man, making it difficult to track him down. December 4th, 1994. Discovery of Melissa's car. At 8:30 a.m., after 62 hours of Melissa being missing, the Fort Smith Police Department officially began their investigation. This delay wasn't due to a lack of effort, but because Melissa's car had not been noticed in the parking lot earlier. Once officers identified her vehicle in the parking lot, they designated the area as a crime scene and restricted access to it. The car, a 1991 Honda Civic, appeared to be locked and in normal condition. However, items belonging to Melissa were found around the vehicle, including a gold hoop earring and a crushed hair clip. Due to rain that had persisted over the weekend and continued during the discovery of the car, the police were unable to immediately examine it for evidence. The vehicle was transported to the police impound lot, where it was allowed to dry before being inspected. Contents found in Melissa's car. Inside the car, investigators found a Chick-fil-A cup, corroborating the account of her friend, a red sports backpack containing school items located in the back seats, a Boys II Men CD also on the back seats, and in the trunk, jumper cables, a foot pump for tires, and a clothes hanger. The car's interior showed no signs of disturbance, and Melissa's purse and its contents, including money and valuables, were untouched. Detectives quickly ruled out robbery as a motive, indicating the crime was likely personal or driven by motives other than theft. Melissa's keys and the discovery of blood. Sometime during the evening of December 1st, Melissa's keys had been found in the parking lot by an unknown individual who turned them in. When investigators retrieved the keys days later, they discovered traces of blood on them. Returning to the parking lot for further investigation, officers realized the area surrounding Melissa's car was covered in diluted pools of blood. Due to the persistent rain and mist over the weekend, this critical evidence had not been noticed earlier. The discovery of the blood emphasized that a struggle had likely occurred at the scene, and it was the version the police believed in. The blood evidence was collected and sent to a laboratory for analysis, but the results did not provide significant information to advance the investigation. Interviews with witnesses and Melissa's acquaintances. Detectives conducted interviews with Melissa's friends, family, and co-workers to determine if anyone had a motive to harm her. Everyone described Melissa as friendly, responsible, and not involved in any trouble. This left investigators with no solid leads. The police received a tip from a woman who was at Bowling World with her son on Friday night. At some point between 5:35 p.m. and 6:30 p.m., she sent her son to the parking lot to get a book. The kid took it, came back. It was the wrong book, so his mom said, "Go back to get the right book." So he goes back to the parking lot, and as he is outside looking for the right book, he hears people arguing, and particularly a female screaming. When he looked over, he saw a vehicle with its lights on, and he saw too many people, as he described as one was bigger than the other. He was scared, so he grabbed the right book and went to warn his mom about what was happening. Weeks of searching. Following the discovery of Melissa's car, extensive search efforts were launched. Teams combed through wooded areas, rivers, and abandoned properties near Fort Smith. Helicopters and tracking dogs were deployed. Volunteers joined the search to cover more ground. Despite these extensive efforts, no further signs of Melissa were found during this time. Part 4. The discovery of Melissa's body. On January 13, 1995, two hunters were walking through a remote part of the Ozark National Forest near Turner Bend, about 50 miles from Fort Smith, Arkansas. The area was hard to reach, only accessible by rough dirt roads. As the hunters explored the woods, they stumbled upon a human body lying face down on the ground. Shocked, they immediately called the police. Officers from the Fort Smith Police Department arrived at the scene near the Mulberry River around 9:30 a.m. The body was badly decomposed, making it impossible to identify at first. Police called in the state medical examiner, who transported the remains to Little Rock for further testing. They needed dental records to confirm if it was Melissa Witt or someone else. Melissa was found naked, and much of her upper torso was decomposed, likely because of animals in the area. Her clothes, shoes, and personal items, including a Mickey Mouse watch she was known to wear, were missing. Investigators carefully collected evidence from the scene, including samples of nails, skin, soil, and leaves. They also gathered cigarette butts, a Mountain Dew can, and napkins nearby. The ground around the body contained hair, bodily fluids, and tissue, which were also documented and sent for testing. After Melissa's body arrived in Little Rock, the state medical examiner confirmed her identity through dental records. The autopsy revealed that Melissa had been strangled, and she likely died shortly after being abducted on December 1st, 1994. Her body had been left in the woods for weeks before being discovered. The location where Melissa was found raised more questions. The spot was remote and hard to access, suggesting the killer knew the area well. Police believed the person who killed Melissa chose this location to delay her body being found and to make it harder to find evidence. A detective said this about the desolate location her body was discovered. She could have screamed as loud as she could and no one would have heard her. Unfortunately, despite collecting all available clues, the scene didn't provide much new information. Her missing clothes and personal items were never recovered, leading police to think the killer might have taken them as trophies or to destroy evidence. Part 5. Theories and Suspects. Since Melissa Witt's disappearance and murder in 1994, investigators have explored multiple theories and potential suspects. Random attack. One prevailing theory suggests that Melissa was the victim of a random attack. Witnesses reported seeing a man and a woman arguing in the Bowling World parking lot around the time of her disappearance. The vehicle described matched Melissa's white Mitsubishi Mirage. Despite this lead, the lack of a clear description of the man hindered efforts to identify or locate him. Larry Swearingen, a convicted murderer, was considered a suspect due to similarities between Melissa Witt's case and that of Melissa Trotter, whom Swearingen was convicted of killing in Texas in 1998. Both victims were young women who were strangled, and their bodies were left in remote areas. However, no evidence has connected Swearingen to Melissa Witt's murder. Charles Ray Vines. Another significant suspect was Charles Ray Vines, known as the River Valley Killer. Vines was convicted of raping and murdering women in Fort Smith during the 1990s, with his crimes involving strangulation, similar to Melissa's case. Investigators considered Vines a prime suspect due to the nature of his crimes and their proximity to Melissa's disappearance. An inmate also wanted to give the FBI a tip about Morgan Nick. In a call with his wife, he will say, "No, the tip about Vines wasn't about Nick, it was about Melissa Witt. The FBI believes that he killed at least 30 people." Known acquaintance, Smith. Investigators also explored the possibility that Melissa was killed by someone she knew. The lack of robbery and the manner in which her body was left in the forest suggested a personal connection. The police found a classmate of Melissa called Smith on the police reports, who acted very strange around the time of her disappearance. Smith did not go to class on Friday and knows that he did not go to class on Monday, as he was too upset about it. He also called Melissa's house and talked with her mother after he found out she was missing. He said that he called to find out if there was anything he could do, and got very emotional while talking with her mother and asked, "Have they found a body yet?" 2 days only after Melissa's disappearance. Travis Crouch. In recent years, attention has turned to Travis Crouch as a potential suspect. Crouch was in the area at the time of Melissa's disappearance and had a history of violent behavior. Investigators have considered him a prime suspect, but no charges have been filed due to insufficient evidence. Morgan Nick disappearance. In the mid-1990s, Arkansas was shaken by two tragic cases: the murder of 19-year-old Melissa Witt in December 1994, and the abduction of 6-year-old Morgan Nick in June 1995. Both incidents occurred within a 50-mile radius, leading the FBI to explore the possibility of a serial offender responsible for both crimes. Investigations revealed similarities, such as the proximity of the crime scenes and the nature of the abductions. However, despite extensive efforts, no conclusive evidence has linked the two cases. The obsession of LaDonna Humphrey. LaDonna Humphrey is the author of a book about Melissa Witt entitled The Girl I Never Knew. From the outset, LaDonna emphasizes that she never met Melissa Witt, stating explicitly that she did not know her personally. She begins her book with the following passage: "It seems strange to me to type out the words, 'I did not know Melissa Witt.' Technically, those words are true. I did not know Melissa in the traditional sense. I never saw her flash, her dazzling smile. We never went shopping together. We never even had a conversation. I never knew Melissa Witt. And yet, our lives are deeply connected and forever intertwined. Despite claiming not to know Melissa, LaDonna has dedicated years to writing extensively about Melissa's case, producing multiple books and frequently reiterating the same details about the unsolved murder. Humphrey appears deeply invested in the case, presenting herself as a central figure in controlling the narrative and becoming the primary voice and face of Melissa's story. Humphrey also runs a tip line for Melissa Witt's case and encourages people to contact her directly instead of the police. She's stated that she reviews all tips herself before passing them on to law enforcement, effectively deciding which tips are worth investigating and which are not. This approach has drawn attention to her role in the case and her methods. In her third book, Connected by Fate, Humphrey continues to assert that she and Melissa Witt are somehow intertwined. The title implies a deep relationship, which raises questions given that their paths never crossed while Melissa was alive. LaDonna was 21 years old and lived in Fort Smith, Arkansas, at the time of Melissa's murder. She worked at a local business and has said that she remembers exactly where she was and what she was doing when Melissa's body was found, 56 miles away in the Ozark National Forest. In an exchange recorded in The Girl I Never Knew, J.C. Ryder, a key figure in the case, asks LaDonna if she knew Melissa. She replies, "No, sir, we had mutual friends, but we never met." This acknowledgement of a handful of shared acquaintances raises further questions about why LaDonna believes her life and Melissa's are forever intertwined. Could mutual friends or coincidental proximity really establish such a strong connection? Both women lived in the same area, were close in age, and likely attended overlapping social events. Melissa was described as outgoing, social, and interested in dating college-aged men, interests that align with LaDonna's age and life stage at the time. Adding intrigue is LaDonna's claim that Melissa was murdered by a man named Daniel, a detail that connects to another unresolved element of the case. An original witness reported that Melissa was abducted by a man named Daniel, who was accompanied by his girlfriend on the night of her disappearance. According to this account, Melissa was heard shouting, "Go away, Daniel. Leave me alone. You and your girlfriend get out of here." Although Daniel Watson, a suspect in the case, was cleared with a strong alibi, the identity of the Daniel present that night remains unknown. Additionally, the girlfriend mentioned in this interaction has never been identified. Notably, LaDonna's current husband is named Daniel Humphrey. LaDonna has acknowledged that she dated him as a teenager, later rekindling their relationship after her first marriage ended. While no evidence connects her husband to the case, the coincidence has drawn attention and speculation from observers. A key piece of evidence revealed in the Hulu documentary about Melissa Witt's case adds another layer of complexity. Melissa had significant DNA evidence under her fingernails. Surprisingly, the DNA is entirely female, with no traces of male DNA present. Despite the potential importance of this discovery, the DNA has not been tested for a full profile, a decision that has sparked criticism. While it seems unlikely, the presence of female DNA raises the possibility that another woman could have been involved in Melissa's murder, perhaps someone she never knew. Part 6. The Discoveries of the Documentary. Melissa Witt's 1994 murder remains unsolved, but ongoing investigative efforts and renewed public interest continue to seek justice. In 2018, the Fort Smith Police Department reopened the case, re-examining all evidence with modern forensic technology. DNA samples collected from the crime scene were reanalyzed using updated techniques. However, no matches have been identified to date. Detectives remain hopeful that advancements in forensic science will eventually lead to a breakthrough. Public interest in the case has been revitalized through documentaries and true crime media. In 2024, Hulu released a 4-part docu-series titled At Wit's End: The Hunt for a Killer, which dives into Melissa's story in detail. The series highlights the challenges of solving the case and features interviews with her family, investigators, and experts. This is what is discovered in the documentary. Some entries of Melissa's journal could be a lead on what happened to her. I quote, "Lots of things have happened since last month. First, I got a new car. It's a Mitsubishi Mirage. White, dual airbags, CD player, and other things." End quote. The police had a suspect for Melissa's disappearance, a classmate we talked about a little earlier named Smith, who acted very strange around the time of Melissa's disappearance, as he called her mom to ask if the police found a body yet. The police interrogated Smith, made him pass a polygraph test, but nothing substantial came of it. Another information came from Melissa's mom. Apparently, she received a package containing a rubber dildo via post, and there was a note in the package about a certain room called Room 25. Nothing came out of it either. A reward of $29,000 remains available for information leading to an arrest. If you or someone you know may be aware of an element that could help the case to move forward, please contact the Fort Smith law enforcement. Our thoughts go to the mom and family of Melissa Witt, and we wish her to rest in peace and for her case to be solved one day.